What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. We're a little late this week. I apologize for that, but we had a birthday coming up and some other stuff. But we're here. Today is Thursday, and to our fellow listeners in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I hope you enjoy your turkey and you didn't eat too much or you don't eat too much. I'm here with Mr. Cristiano Oliveira. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, Alfredo Fumasas? Happy belated birthday, my man. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a blast. And to those of you at home eating gobble gobble today, remember, it makes you sleepy. That's the advice of the day. Don't eat too much.
It's the tryptophan, I think, or something like that. Some kind of protein that they give turkeys that will
that'll turn into cancer eventually later on.
Something like that. Mr. Santos couldn't be with us this week, so it's just going to be me and Chris. On tonight's agenda, we'll look back at Benfica's game against Moreirense for the Taça de Portugal. We'll also look back at yesterday's game in Russia against Zenit, and we'll look ahead to Benfica's upcoming fixture against Academic, as well as a very busy month of December for Benfica, and critical if you want to look at it that way also. So without further ado, Benfica played the Taça de Portugal game this past weekend at Estádio Luz against Moreirense. I'll give you the lineup real quick. Júlio César, Almeida, Luizão, Jardel, and Benito across the back. Cristante and Enzo in the midfield. Salvio and Gaetan on the wings. Jonas and Derlei up front. Obviously, Benito, with Eliseu being hurt, being a Portuguese Cup game, also got a little bit of playing time. But Chris, the thing that I'm most surprised here, and actually surprised for the good, Cristante. I know it was a Taça game, but this is Moreirense. I mean, this is not a third division team like Sporting played. And then they gave us trouble also in the beginning of the season. But I was very happy with Cristante, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid that obviously, like we talk about it all the time. He's got a ton of talent. It's just a matter of development. And Jorge Jesus is going to do a fantastic job with him here because we've seen in previous years what he's done with other players. He's been able to turn these guys into world-class players, and that's the player that Cristante is supposed to be and was talked up in Italy. That he was going to be that type of player. So yeah, I'm glad that he finally got into the game, and he actually played pretty well compared to what we've seen in other appearances. So yeah, it's a kid with a lot of potential, and hopefully he keeps this up, and Jorge Jesus throws him out there a little bit more.
Yeah, do you think that because he's a younger kid that it's an easier time for him assimilating new ideas to a new position, a position that's not that familiar to him?
Yeah, like you're a creature of nature, you know what I'm saying? So a creature of habit, I should say, nature. Well, creature of habit. If you start playing him there now, obviously we know he's more of an 8 than he is of a 6, but that's a position that Benfica severely lacks, is a quality number 6. So we've seen, like I mentioned before, Jorge Jesus has been able to turn other players very similar characteristics into very good number 6s and holding midfielders. So right now, like you said, this is the perfect time to do it before he gets molded into something else. Try to get him adjusted to this position because it's a huge hole.
Yeah, I think that, to be honest with you, I like the kid. I like what I've seen. Kid's physical for his age. He's only 19. Can play the long ball as good as anyone out of the midfield. So he's, the physicality also is not going to, nobody's going to push him off the ball. I thought he played really well. On the contrary, on the other side, Samaris, it's just been disappointment after disappointment, but we'll get to that.
You know the difference between both of those guys, though, not to get too much into Samaris, but just goes to show you a little bit about what people think about Cristante, and that's usually when a player leaves a team. And the outcry, whether it's positive or negative, tells you a lot about a player and what people think he is and what he's going to be. And when Cristante left, to this day, they're still writing stories in Italy about this kid, and they're disappointed how Milan is definitely, came off this rejuvenation stage that they were trying to head and play their young players, and all of a sudden, their pearl was let go. So obviously we heard a lot of criticism of that, and I haven't heard much about somebody's leaving, wherever the hell he came from. I haven't heard much noise about that. So that goes to show you what people think about both players.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a difference there. And the question that I posed you before about him being young, I think that as a young player, perhaps like you said, you're a creature of habit, and as a young player, perhaps it's much easier to mold a young player to a new position than it is to a guy that already has his tendencies and his habits. So, to be honest with you, I expected him to play in Europe. I'm surprised he didn't. But I think that he's coming along pretty well, and I think at this point, I mean, I don't think we have anything to lose by putting Cristante at the defensive midfield position going forward.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, especially the way that Samaris has looked over the early stages here of the season. You can't blame anyone else. We can't blame Jorge Jesus for playing anyone else there but Samaris.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting back to the game, nearly perfect half by Benfica. Early goals by Jonas, one at the 3-minute mark and one at the 7-minute mark. Then Salvio at the 27 mark made it 3. A little bit of perhaps a lack of focus in the defense on a dead ball situation where we allowed a goal. I don't know if you could blame Jardel on that one. But he was definitely slow getting to the marker. And
Luizão, I mean, everybody in the middle of the box was a little bit lost. I think they all got caught ball watching. So it was a perfect ball as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those balls that, as a coach, that's where you teach your players to put, right between the defensive line and the penalty, or right on the penalty mark between the defensive line and the keeper, beyond the keeper's outreach, and that's where you want to put it.
There's a difference too. There's a difference too, Alfredo, between crossing a ball into the box, right? And in particular in a dangerous zone like that. I see a lot in the MLS here, and I see a lot in other games. And I don't understand, when you get an opportunity like that, okay, which is a pretty nice scoring opportunity. It's not a direct free kick from right outside the box, but still gives you an opportunity to get the ball into the box. And I hate it when players lob that ball into the box. Not only does it give the goaltender an opportunity to come out and grab it or punch it out, but it gives the defenseman an opportunity to get back into position. I love getting those balls, whipping them into the box, and putting them, like you said, into that spot in between the 6 and in the penalty spot, right there between the 6-yard line and in a zone that it's going to be tough for the goalie to get to, and it's going to be tough for everyone to get their marking. And I talk about this all the time. I had a conversation with my boy just the other day at Red Bull Arena about this. I can't understand why players lob it. You're just wasting opportunity. Yeah. So that was a really good ball, and credit to them. Cardozo, obviously, not our beloved Cardozo, the one that Laura has a huge crush on, but the other Cardozo that plays in Portugal. Pretty nice header, nice finish, so hats off to them.
Yeah, and I was. Were you surprised at all? I don't know if you could remember the first time the Moreirense came to the Luz this year, but they gave us kind of a hard time, and it just
maybe the scores up 1-0, right?
Yeah, 1-0. And
we all predicted like 4-0, it's gonna be a cakewalk.
And I don't know if perhaps the early goal kind of threw things out. The early 2 goals threw things out, but they didn't seem like the Moreirense that they had come and played earlier at Stadio Luz. So I'm actually happy that the team showed no signs of slowing down after the international break, as it's usually customary when you have guys off a week and you got 10 days without playing. So that was pretty good. I thought the team looked pretty sharp.
You know what I was happy about? I was happy about the 2 fantastic world-class finishes by my boy Jonas. Not mentioning any names, but we know some people didn't think this guy was going to even score 7 goals the whole season. My man's got 7 goals within the first 2.5 months. So I was really impressed with my man's finishing, and in particular the second one, man. The way he was able to cut it back with the back. I mean, it was just fantastic work by this guy. If this guy, I know we're going to get into the Champions League, but if this guy was on the Champions League roster, I think we'd have a totally different outcome with this Benfica. We'll be talking about our beloved Benfica in a totally different way, because he has been able to add the one thing that we have been missing severely on this team, which is a goal scorer. Okay, Lima, don't know what the hell's happened to this guy. He might have lost his magic boots or something, because he has not been the same player. And it seems like if it's not for Talisca, Jonas, or Salvio, no one else is scoring for this team. So thank goodness for the old man, Jonas, who I've been talking up for the longest time. Yes, he is a little bit crazy, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a Ferrari, be careful. He will most likely burn it down. But if you don't, you'll be good with him. But the one thing he could do is put the ball in the back of the net. And those were 2 fantastic finishes. And I think, Toto Salvio also on the 4th goal was a really nice finish by him. He got in between a couple of defenders in the box and was able to tuck it away. So 3 very nice goals out of the possible, not out of the possible, but out of the 4 goals. So, yeah, but listen, things are looking up for Benfica. Still have a couple of question marks, though.
I promise to do a mea culpa once Jonas goes over the eight goal mark.
Not over the 8. Goes over the 7. Goes into 8.
Right. Well, when he gets to 8, I promise to do a mea culpa. I might even write an article for the website on Jonas.
That's big news right there. I think every single Benfiquista listening to this is going to hit him up just because we want to see your writing skills once again being displayed in front of us on paper or on computer or whatever it is that you do decide to write this thing on and post it. So, Jonas, garoto, você tem que fazer o gol. All right, there it is. That's the men's system, my boy.
I think that every time that he scores, I have to get some DM or some text from a certain somebody who likes to rub it in my face that Jonas scored another goal.
It's all right because I know somebody else. and I don't want to mention anybody by names, but we kind of get the drift here, which is every time Julio Cesar makes a spectacular save, I send a DM as well. So you know what? I understand the grief that you get.
We might be talking about the same person too.
Exactly.
So, but just to finish this up, I was actually impressed by also in this game, and it's not the first time that I'm impressed by him. Derlei, I think the guy just works like a horse, man. It's too bad that he's not snatching goals, but maybe Jonas is getting them for him. But the guy works really, really hard.
Nah, man, listen, we talk about this when it comes to Derlei, when it comes to Lima, when it comes to Eder, when it comes to any striker right now that's not putting the ball in the back of the net, which is obviously we have to look at other ways to praise these guys for their work ethic and try to make them look good. Yeah. And yes, he is putting out 100% effort, it seems. The guy doesn't give up on any balls, but to me, and I'm just talking about my personal opinion, it doesn't mean it's the right one or the last one, but it's my opinion. I'm more concerned in how many goals my number 9 or my striker's scoring than I am about his effort of the guy tracking back, which is obviously beneficial to the team. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's just icing on the cake. The guy's a hard worker. To me, the number one thing I'm concerned about these strikers for Benfica, and we're not seeing any of them score right now, which is putting the ball in the back of the net. The guys that are scoring for us, different wingers or midfielders. I know Jonas is playing forward, but he's been more of a, that false striker, that winger. That's the way the guy's played his whole career. And even now when he plays, he's not playing as the lone striker. So I have a huge problem when these guys aren't putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, but Chris, as if your partner up front is getting the goals and you're not, I mean, it in essence, your effort is part of a joint effort to score goals. Really, if you two guys are up front partnering, one is doing the work and one was putting away the goals, it's a joint effort. So you got to give him a little bit of credit for that.
I understand what you're saying, but I think Jonas is putting the ball in the back of the net because of his raw ability and his raw talent. That's why he's putting the back of the net. I don't think it's because anyone else is really, it's not because that Leo Lima are tracking back and hustling, because you see the finishes he gets. These are things that he's doing on his own. He gets a simple little pass from Salvio, and he curls it around everybody. I mean, that has nothing to do with your partner. And then the second goal where he cuts it back, gets the ball in the middle, that's all on him. That's all skill and talent that it took for him to do that. And you're right. I'm not discrediting what you're saying, Alfredo. Please don't take it that way. But I do think that you have to give credit where credit's due. Also, these guys putting the ball in the back of the net due to their own ability. I don't think it had to do because, Derlei took 2 defenders with him and now the guy's left wide open and no other choice. It was relatively easy. I think it's more to do with their ability than it is to do with the help of their second striker.
Yeah, well, I believe that. But hopefully Derlei can start snatching some chances because it looks like Lima, I don't know, man. I've lost all my faith in Lima. And Again in Zenit and in St. Petersburg, JJ came out to him at the end of the game and had a long talk on the way to the locker room with him. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if the guy's going through some issues in his personal life, and it's just I don't know. It's just not the Lima that we knew from a couple of years ago. Not even last year. I don't think he was that impressive last year. I think that Rodrigo helped him out a lot.
Well, that's the key, and that's the key thing, and I think that's what Jorge Jesus is going to try to do, at least here in the Taça Portugal and in the Campeonato, which is pair him with Jonas, because Jonas is a very similar player, characteristically like Rodrigo, a guy that could take defenders on one-on-one, a guy that could track back, set up play, spread the ball around. He could do it all on his own. I think he will do that because we've seen when Lima has to come back and he has to beat defenders on his own. He's not able to do it. When the guy was at the top of his game was getting the ball, and he was doing a fantastic job of finishing it. Right now, everything he puts on goal is going over, is going wide. He's just having a really difficult time hitting the target.
Yeah, absolutely. And So we go on to the next round, and yesterday was the drawing, and we drew Braga at home, which is
Yep.
going to perhaps most difficult game, or the featured game of the round, and we haven't had much luck with the draw on this one. But it is what it is. If we want to get to the Jamor, we got to beat everyone that comes, and we play them, we face them. So
Yeah, great point.
yeah.
And now being the fact that we basically knocked out of all European competitions, there's extra emphasis on this game, and Benfica has no excuse not to advance and not to beat them. And I know we went out there and lost to them already in Braga, and it's going to be a difficult game, just like you said.
Yeah.
But right now, all emphasis needs to be on getting to the next round of the Taça and winning the Campeonato.
Yeah, absolutely. And now turning into a competition where we won't be making it into the next round, the Champions League. Benfica played Zenit in St. Petersburg, in a frigid St. Petersburg last night, and we came away with the 1-0 loss. To make it all worse, Monaco actually beat Leverkusen, so that eliminates all chances of us even remaining in Europe. I'll give you the lineup real quick for Benfica. Last night, Julio Cesar was in goal. Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Almeida were across the back. Samaris and Enzo in the middle. Salvio and Gaetan on the wings. Talisca behind Lima. Chris, Jardel, he's back in. Lisandro Lopez is out.
I was a little bit critical of that on Twitter, saying, why the hell is this guy playing? Jorge Jesus must be in love with this guy. But, I failed to remember that Lisandro was hurt. So I really can't kill Jorge Jesus because it's not like he had many other options because, between Jardel and Cesar, the only other two options, all day give me Jardel. And that's not saying much about the guy. It's tough. It's tough watching this guy play. You see him. He's constantly giving the ball away. He's constantly committing the same errors. And then he'll come up with great plays where the guy positionally, he's perfect on other plays. So it's rough right now. I'd rather Benfica play Lisandro Lopez or go out and spend the quality money to get yourself a quality player in that position, a guy that's going to solidify the back four because, as we know, the only other guy we could trust on is old man Luizão. So there's a lot of concern here with that position. I think it's a position that Benfica needs to fortify rather soon.
Yeah, and it's a shame that we went out and bought Cesar. And basically, he's still young, but he's amounted to nothing, absolutely nothing. He can't even play Portuguese Cup games.
Yeah, this is a guy that looks like to me he's going to have to be loaned out now. Whether he's going to want to be loaned out or not, I don't know the guy personally. I don't know what's going on in his head, but I think what's best for his development here is that Benfica finds a way to send him out to another team in the Portuguese Campeonato and let this guy get regular minutes and see what he's made of. Because right now, every time we've seen him, nothing has shown me that or indicated that he's going to be one of the guys you're going to count on for the future here with Benfica.
Or put him in a B team. Let him get some.
He doesn't even play there. Team. He doesn't even play there.
I don't know what's going on, but maybe he should be getting some burn as a B team because obviously he's like the fourth choice of the center defenders, right above Steven Vitória.
Steven Vitória gets the all-important mention once again on Benfica Podcast.
We love Steven Vitória.
Oh, fantastic! The guy's got beautiful teeth.
So anyway, a pretty tactical game in the first half, very tight, not a lot of spaces to play in, and I thought Benfica was solid, but they didn't create much because there wasn't a lot of spaces. But I just think that this is not a team from a couple years back where they just could create chances on a whim.
Benfica came out very nervous in this game. It seemed like they weren't prepared at all. Every time they touched the ball, they did nothing for the first 20, 25 minutes but turn the ball over. Every time they got the ball, they gave it right back to Zenit. And we were lucky Zenit didn't get a goal or two here early in the first half. Then as the first half went along, it seemed like Benfica finally got their feet up under them, and they started putting some passes together. They started spreading the ball around, and they had a really, really great chance. Which I thought Salvia should have done a better job, but it was tough, the angle. But that was Benfica's best chance by far in the first half. All in all, I thought, like I said, not very good first 30 minutes, and then after that, I thought Benfica played really well in the first half. And I was impressed, man. I got to tell you, the guy that all you guys have been talking about for a while, you guys always talk him up, and you question why isn't this guy on the Portuguese national team? And I haven't. And if you go back to other pods, you'll see that I haven't said much regarding André Almeida, because I wasn't quite sure about what this guy was bringing anymore, because I wasn't sure if if the right back or left back positions, it seemed like to me had regressed a little bit. I thought maybe he should have been playing defensive center mid because I thought it suited him more. But yesterday's performance, it was one of his better performances in a while here for Benfica. I thought he played really well. He was able, for the most part, to keep Hulk down a little bit. But you know what? The great thing about great players is that these guys, anytime they get a ball, is a chance for them to create a scoring chance, and that's exactly what Hulk did with the pass to Dani. That's what great players need. They just need that one opportunity. Yeah. And all the rest of Benfica, man, it seemed like everybody was too cold. It was way too cold for Benfica.
Well, let's hate on Samaris real quick.
I was gonna get there. I mean,
I'll let you go first.
Nah, just listen. I said it. I don't give a crap what anyone says. To me, I'm not sold on this guy. He is crap. At least, we were coming into yesterday. I was convinced he was crap because he was playing out of position. But after what I saw yesterday, and he did get better as the game went along, but particularly in the first half, what I saw a player that can't complete a pass. I saw a player that under pressure loses the ball. I saw a player that has no creativity, no imagination, and I can't say that's because he's playing the wrong position, because whether you're playing left back, right back, goalie, I don't care. When you have the ball at your feet and you're a quality player, you're able to get rid of that ball. You're able to connect. And the guy just does not look like he's on the same field. Looks like the game is going at 100 miles an hour and he's stuck in, at 50 miles an hour. And to me, that's a very, very big concern, because obviously we know Benfica went out, spent 10 million euros or I think it's euros. I was going to say pounds wrongly, but 10 million euros on this guy, signed him for 5 years. And right now he is not giving us any indication that he will be a very good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't seen anything, not even a bright spot, that has given me any encouragement about this guy. I mean, we've all talked about him being out of position, but it's like you said, Chris, if you have the technical ability, I mean, you can see that comes out. You're able to see the technical ability, and he's just like you said, Chris, he's in a different plateau than everybody else.
And if that was a Lisandro Lopez, if that was a Cesar like we talked about before, and if, Talisca, we understand these are young players who are coming from very different leagues, not Lisandro because he was playing in Spain last year, but in particular more so the other guys that are coming over from Brazil. Very different game. The European game is a lot quicker paced than it is over in South America. So if he was one of these young players that's come from one of these leagues, you kind of understand, you know what? Like, he's growing like a Cristante, 19 years old. You got patience. No, you're talking about a guy that was playing at a World Cup just a couple months ago. You're talking about basically a guy that's a finished product. You expect this guy to come on and fit into your team like a glove and be able to improve your team. And right now, I always gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was playing out of position. But playing out of position doesn't mean that you don't know what the hell to do with the ball on your feet.
Yeah, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I think that just exhausted. I think after this past, even the game against Moreirense when he came in, Cristiano still looked better than him.
A guy gives you absolutely nothing. I'm just yesterday, man. I was really upset watching this guy play, and dude, I don't know if they keep a turnover stat, but if they did, I mean, I'll tell you, Benfica's turnover ratio, yes, it would have been extremely high, because every single, not just him, to me it was everybody. They just kept giving the ball away, and it's like someone said on Twitter, how the hell is somebody's passing percentage at 76% or whatever it was at the time? And it's obvious they don't keep the stat of how many times you lose possession. Obviously, he's just keeping it on the pass. So when he attempts a pass and it gets intercepted, or he connects a pass, I guess the percent. But there should be a stat of how many times you lost the ball. Yeah. Like, you try to control it. You don't control it. It looked really bad in the first half. And yes, he did get a little bit better going into the second half. I think the whole team looked better in the second half. It looked like Jorge Jesus got into the mall and, pushing the orelhas at everybody. And these guys seemed to finally get it and wanting to get the 3 points yesterday in the second half. But the first half, very, very, very discouraging if you're a Benfica fan and you worried about what's going on with this Samaris character, because he has not indicated to any one of us that he is a quality player at all.
Absolutely not. But like you said, the second half was definitely at a different level for Benfica, and they knew they needed to make the push. But look, they go out of this Champions League, as we've said, because of this loss. But I think that the fault here can't be put on yesterday's game. I mean, if the message inside to the players is this is a competition that we want to move to the next round, on. Then the first couple games, the game at Toulouse against Zenit and the game against Leverkusen, those were important games. You have to you have to win those games. You have to show more attitude, and I just think that the team has gone about this all wrong. I think that JJ, the message that he sent out that the league is a priority, and I'm fine with that. But as we've mentioned here, I think that performances like this and campaigns like this are not equal to what Benfica's prestige is in Europe and in the world.
And the sad thing is, I'm going to give you a very frightening stat, at least to me it's very frightening, which is since 05-06, okay, Benfica have gotten out of the Champions League group twice. Ronald Koeman, 05-06, they finished second in the group, and then Jorge Jesus in 11-12. Benfica finished in first place, came out of the group in first place. Besides that, we have not advanced, and that's a very frightening stat. This is a team that wants to compete at all fronts, and we keep getting sent to the Europa League. That is not a sign of a big, powerful team in Europe. And I'll say this much, Alfredo. I know a lot of people right now are going to cringe when I say this, but I'm going to tell you right now. If you don't believe in the Bela Gutmann curse, well, or you don't know about it, get yourself informed and start believing in it, because it seems to me that whatever can go wrong to this team in the Champions League competition will go wrong. We see what happened in the last two Europa League finals. Benfica outplayed both Chelsea and Sevilla, and we still lost the game. So if you don't believe in this curse, guys, start getting yourself informed in it. And just my little advice to you, start believing in it a little bit, even if it increases yearly, but start believing in it.
Yeah, but
it's something
Chris, I think this year is not so much a matter of things going wrong or things not going our way. I think it's the attitude of the team and perhaps the orders that they've received from the club that this is not a priority, that moving into the next round is not a priority. Making the Europa League wasn't a priority, or else they wouldn't have left it this late. I think the fact that we had a miserable European campaign has nothing to do with the Bela Gutmann curse this year.
No, listen, in terms of on the field, you're right. I'm talking about in terms as a Benfiquista, I believe in it. Something always goes wrong, whether it's, self-made or because of something else, because of the other team's ability, they're just better than you, or referees, whatever it is that interfere. Something always goes wrong with this team, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. This time, it actually comes from, like you said, within the team.
Yeah,
they sent out the wrong message. And I think at the beginning of the season, that team was in so much turmoil, okay? They didn't know which direction they were going to go in. They didn't know what kind of players they had, okay? And we know the whole summer we spent, scratching our head. How many more players will be on their way out? Which quality players are we going to get in? And I think at that time, the first game against Chelsea, and against Zenit, and we saw the fans that started to lose. They all got up and applauded them for minutes on. Because I think a lot of people kind of understood that this team had no idea what the hell they were going to be. Even though they lost 2-0, they put out the performance against Zenit. Like you said about that, like these guys put out 110% that day, and the fans appreciated that. And I don't think anyone knew which direction this team was going to go, because we didn't know what we had in these new players that we brought in. All we knew at the time is that we lost and we sold a lot of quality players, and it was very difficult to replace those guys. And I don't think we've done it just yet. Now, had Jonas been playing yesterday, Alfredo, I'm being serious. I think had Jonas been playing yesterday, we might have a totally different outcome. I think if Jonas was playing in this competition, I think we would have been, looking different in the standings right now.
I agree. I have to agree with you. But it's a shame. But news. Yeah, it's a shame. But realistically, really, and as you've mentioned in the beginning of the season, us losing all these players and losing the majority of our starting 11, and us not really knowing what was going to end up with the team. Realistically, I think this is if you really want the bicampeonato, realistically, this is the best scenario that you can encounter. You're completely out of the Champions League. You're completely out of the Europa League. Now you could focus your efforts on the Portuguese Cup, the league, and the Taça da Liga if you want. Okay.
That's been an ongoing argument between the three of us, you, myself, and Steve. And Steve obviously feels that Benfica, for the prestige and whatever the club, they should advance. And you've kind of been a little bit of both. You see both sides, and I'm more like, you know what? I want this club to finally win back-to-back titles. I haven't seen that in God knows how long. Realistically, we're not going to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any damage. So what's advanced to get a couple more million?
Yeah.
We're still going to sell Enzo most likely at the end of the year, if not now in January. Things aren't going to change. If Benfica were to win the Champions League, you're still going to lose players at the end of the year. Nothing is going to change, okay?
Yeah.
So therefore, win the Campeonato. Put all your eggs in that basket. If you win the Taça, great. If you win the beer cup, Taça de Cerveja, fantastic. But your objective should have been since day one, okay? Which is to win the Campeonato back to back. Which got when was the last time we did that? I don't even remember.
It's been quite some times.
In the 80s, I believe it's like 88, 89, something like that. Around that time, I'm not sure right now.
It's been quite some time, and the other thing too is that with our team being so short, not as deep as last year's team. I mean, there's only so much raw material that we have to be in these competitions and actually put on a decent, effort to win these competitions. But I'm with you. What the bicampeonato for me is the most important thing, because for one, it's something that we haven't done in a while. For the other is something that kind of solidifies an idea that people were formulating when Benfica won last year, which was to end with Porto's dominance of the Portuguese league. So even if we right now on paper we're perhaps not a better team than Porto, on paper I'm saying, but if we would be able to win this championship, and back-to-back championships, it would be huge.
It'd be a huge dagger in Porto's heart, because they went out and spent millions and brought in players that they own percentages, very little percentages, and they pretty much mortgaged it all for this season to get the Campeonato back to Porto. And if Benfica were to win it, I totally agree with you, Alfred. It'd be a huge dagger to Porto.
And absolutely, if you go and look at the past 20 years of who won the league, you see Benfica 1, Porto 4, Benfica 1, Porto 3, Benfica 1, Porto 4. It's always been like that.
It's 5. Porto even won the Penta.
It's an utter dominance of Porto. So if we could get this one, especially with the talent that we have on this team, which is not anything compared to what we had last year, if we were able to get the bicampeonato, that's a huge mental edge for us. Huge.
No, dude, I'm on board. Agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah, but let's we're out of the Champions League. Obviously, there's going to be some financial backlash, if you will. We won't be in the Champions League. Obviously, that's money. The Europa League, although the money is not as big as you would get in the Champions League, there's still some source of revenue. But here's the question that I want to pose to you, Chris. Do you feel that because we're foregoing this revenue, that we're not going to be able to get this revenue, do you feel that Benfica will be open in a winter market to selling a player, especially when the winter market is really a seller's market?
Well, here's the thing, though. If you look at Benfica or any other club, they're in a position like Benfica is financially, they're always going to be open to any offer come the wintertime. Whether they advance or not, if a team came in with the right amount for a certain player, Benfica would be willing to listen. Now, would they be more open to selling a player like Enzo if they had advanced? Obviously, we know that that's not the case. They would obviously want to try their best and see what they could do in the Champions League, so they want to field the strongest team possible. But I still think if someone comes in January, right, with hitting the trigger of Enzo's contract or Gaetan's or Luizão's or whomever, okay, I think they would absolutely listen regardless of whether it's the winter or in the summer. I just think that's what Benfica is. Unfortunately for us, this generation of Benfiquistas, Benfica's become a seller's club. They've not been, that's just what they are. So I think that either way, that's why I said before, it's not going to change. Yeah. Whether they advanced or not, it's not going to change. It's not going to hamper them and getting players. It's not going to, get them off of selling players. It's going to be what it is. I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it doesn't. But as you said, with us foregoing the Champions League, might be more open to letting a guy go. To me, obviously, Enzo is a huge part of this team. Gaetan is a huge part of this team. But those are two positions that we're probably very deep in. It's not like when we lost Javi Garcia or when we lost Matic. These are positions that we've actually went out and bought guys for these positions, anticipating perhaps a sell. If you recall, Samaris, Cristante, those are guys that play in that 8 position. Obviously, the level is not the same level as Enzo, but I mean, we're deep. We're deep in that position. Also, in Gaitan's position, we got several guys that can play in that position.
Dude, but to be honest, we all love Enzo. Every single Benfiquista I know loves Enzo, okay? And you're absolutely right. It would be a huge dagger to lose a player like Enzo, okay? But we're not talking about the Enzo from last year. Enzo, no. I mean, he has not been himself either. Okay, well, I don't know if that's because he's not motivated and he's heartbroken that he wasn't able to leave in the summer and go to a better league, or if it has to do with the fact that he doesn't have a real number 6 behind him, a guy that really helps him out of recuperating balls, and so therefore frees him up a little bit more to do whatever that Enzo does. Okay, so I don't know, but it's not the same dominant Enzo we're used to seeing in the past.
Yeah.
Would I like to keep him? Yes. I mean, I don't want to sell him, period. But odds are Benfica are going to sell him. But I'm not sure it's going to happen in January. Everyone keeps talking about players leaving in January, players leaving in January. You know what? These other clubs also, they need them. I don't think Valencia, I know they got a rich owner. I don't think they have the money to splash out on players just like that when they have other players playing a very similar position that Enzo plays and doing well in that league. We talked about Gomes a couple of times. The fact that he is playing to the level that he is playing, that kind of puts the fact that they need a player for that position on the back burner. Why go spend $35 million during the season, right, to solidify a position that you already have players playing that position, playing at a very high level?
Yeah, I could definitely see, looking at Valencia's squad and situation. I think right now perhaps they don't really need to splash out the money on Enzo, and Benfica, trust me, is going to be asking for a lot. So maybe that's not one of their immediate concerns.
Benfica should hold off till the summer when everyone could come out. Put him on the market now. Everyone could come out and bid for this guy, because we know Manchester United needs players for that position. Arsenal needs players for that position. Liverpool needs players for that position. AC Milan, Inter Milan, almost every single team with the exception of Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. Every other team, in Bayern Munich, I should say, every other team pretty much needs players for that position, quality play. So why not open it up to everybody? Make the bid, let everyone come in, bid as high as they could bid, and compete. Try to get the highest mark if possible for this guy.
Yeah, of course, we don't know what was agreed with Enzo at the summer when he didn't leave and the transfer window shut, because Benfica wasn't too open to negotiating, or they weren't open to lowering the money lowering the amount that they were asking for. But I mean, we've seen guys leave Benfica, crucial guys, starters leave Benfica in the middle of the year. David Luiz, Matip. So it wouldn't surprise me if Benfica let go of Enzo for the right money. But I think that, as I've said, it's a seller's market, and I think that if a good offer comes, then Benfica would be open to negotiating. And I'm not just saying that Valencia. You've thrown names out, and like you said, the guy's a quality player, and it's a player it's gonna start on the majority of the teams that you mentioned, if not make the position even deeper. So it's a guy.
He is 28. Would you spend $35 million on a 38 Enzo Perez? I love him because he's on my team already. I don't know if I love him, for $35 million.
He's a national team player, dude.
It's fine. I mean,
but 35 million. 30. All right, let's say the amount lowers and they throw a player our way just to deepen our squad. I'll be open for that.
I mean, listen, any way that I could strengthen Benfica, I'd be open for it. And I think by keeping them be the best way to strengthen it. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm Valencia, if I'm spending 35 or 30 million. And I love the player, don't get me wrong, but I have to be objective. I have to look at it from the other side. I don't know if I spent 30 million on a 28-year-old Enzo Perez. And yes, he's a national team player, but he's not even a regular in Argentina. Argentina has plenty of options for that position as well.
I think he's probably going to end up elsewhere other than Valencia, to be honest with you. I
don't know. And if that happens, why not open it up to everybody in the summer? Why do it now?
Yeah, but even in the winter, there's going to be guys looking for players. There's going to be teams looking for players in the winter, to make a push to strengthen their squad. So Yeah,
but what teams are those? But that's what I'm saying. The teams with the money, Alfredo. That's why I keep talking about the summer.
Well, Arsenal for one.
Okay, but listen, Arsenal can't play Enzo Perez in the Champions League. Okay, so that's a huge knock on them. Okay, any team with the huge money, the teams that are willing to spend money, I think, in my mind. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. In my mind, the teams with the big pockets, big deep pockets, are all playing Champions League competition. Enzo is Champions League is cup tied already. Would they spend that type of money on a guy that they would just be able to play domestically?
Well, I mean, if that's gonna give the other guy fresh legs to play in the Champions League, then yeah, if they feel that they're thin on a position and it's gonna strengthen that position, then yeah. And if it's gonna make the other guy that he's actually coming in for play better for them in the Champions League, then. But like you said, I think that the money is a lot for a guy that's cup tied. I get that.
I don't know. We'll see. I think he survives the winter break at Benfica. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Then again, Benfica now has more incentive to sell the guy because realistically they have nothing to fight for, just domestic competition. And Benfica doesn't really need a stacked team to compete in the Portuguese league, with the exception of playing maybe 2-3 teams in a campeonato.
Yeah. No, I believe that. I'm with you on that also. And talking about the Campeonato, we play Académica this coming weekend. At Académica, no, is it Académica? No, Estádio da Luz. Sorry.
Whether we play there, we play at home. It's always a very tough game against Académica. We've seen what they've been able to do to us later on in the season and shock us year after year.
I think I might have that wrong. I don't know I think it might be at Académica. Not sure, or maybe it is Estádio da Luz.
I'll tell you right now.
But anyway, I'll give you a quick stats on Académica while you research that. Académica is currently 15th with 8 points. Total record: 1 win, 5 ties, and 4 losses. Away, okay, they're playing Estádio da Luz. Away, 1 win, 4 losses. So it's not a very Académica that we're used to, but Académica always gives us trouble at Estádio da Luz. Always gives us trouble. So we're just gonna have to see what happens. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the upcoming month of December, which seems very, very busy for Benfica. We play 5 games in a 2-week span, and I'll run you through. On the 5th of December, we play Belenenses. Belenenses is currently 4th. Then we'll host Leverkusen on the 9th, which is really a rubber game, nothing to play for. Then on the 14th, we go to Porto to play Porto, obviously. And 3 days later, we're in Braga. I'm sorry, we host Braga for the Portuguese Cup. And then on the 21st, the last game of the year, we will host Gil Vicente. And Gil Vicente is dead last currently on the Portuguese league. So, Chris, very, very busy December for Benfica.
It's going to be put up or shut up time. We're going to be able to see what this team is made of. And once we make it out of this 5-game stretch, we'll know more or less what this team is going to do for the rest of the year, because if we're able to go out to Porto and even get a draw in Porto, which I think would be a positive result, and stay above the table, I think it would be very, very important and inspirational for the team. I think it'll be all right. I mean, I don't know. I think this team, just right now, man, I'm really still disappointed over this Champions League stuff. I don't know. I'm still stuck in a way because I thought we could have done better. So
I thought we could have done better also. I didn't think that the group was very balanced, but I thought Monaco could have easily beaten Monaco on both games.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think Zenit was much better than us. Especially what they showed yesterday.
I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself with the whole they should have just concentrate on one thing. But once you watch the games, Alfredo, Benfica had chances to beat Zenit yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
Benfica had chances to beat Monaco in both games. The one game where Benfica really got outplayed, which was against Bayern Leverkusen. You could tell at home they were playing. They were on 6th gear, and we're still stuck on 3rd. But the rest, I mean, I think we could have won those games. But realistically, for the health of the club, would it be better for us to advance or not? That's the huge question mark that you keep asking.
Yeah, that is huge. So anyway, so as we've said, I would love to finish the first round in the Portuguese league still at the top of the table. I think that would be encouraging. I don't know what kind of backlash a loss to Porto at the Dragão will mean for the team, especially this is a team that has yet to impress us with the quality of play. I mean, we've been winning, but the quality of play hasn't been there, and you always feel that you're just inching by to get the wins. A win is a win, but it always feels that we're not convincing anyone with the wins that we've had so far. And looking at other teams, and Steve Steve always mentions that Sporting is playing better than us, and I don't, I don't, go against them. I think Porto on paper is a much better team, but I think that would be important if we could get a semi-positive result at the Dragão.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's critical that Benfica comes out of the Dragão with at least a draw, with at least 1 point, because I think that'll motivate the team and it'll really get them to believe. Because right now, with all these question marks going on at Benfica, and like you mentioned, they've been winning, but they haven't been impressive. Okay, so I think maybe in the back of their minds, even they're trying to wait for this game because Porto will be a measuring stick. Are we that good? And if they're able to come out of there with a positive result, okay, I don't want to lose and play well. I need a point. The important thing is that they get a point at the Dragão. I think that will motivate the team and hopefully springboard these guys to higher things and maybe get these guys to play at the level that we expect them to play. Even though some positions, like you mentioned, are very weak, Porto is a team that has star players or big name players up and down every single position on that squad. Yeah. On paper, they're a better team than what Benfica is. The important thing is that Benfica is in first place today. Let's not mistake that. Yeah. Benfica is in first place today. But I do think us as Benfiquistas have those same question marks. Are we really better than Porto? Can we play against Porto? And if we come out of there with at least a point, I think that'll be very, very positive for the club.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, we all know what kind of record JJ has had against Porto. Not to mention, I didn't even go into the record that JJ has playing against Andrés Villas-Boas, which I don't think he's ever won a game off of Villas-Boas. Maybe when Villas-Boas was at Leiria, I think.
Maybe that might be it. But then again, every time Jorge Jesus has faced Andrés Villas-Boas, arguably had a better squad than Jorge Jesus.
Yeah.
So let's not. I mean, sometimes numbers don't tell the whole story.
No, I know.
We need to get some points against Futebol Clube Porto.
Yeah, but the fact is also that we've had problems with Porto throughout JJ's reign at Benfica. We all know that. So
let's not go back to that today. Let's not go back to that one game. I mean, please.
What the thing that I'm trying to get at is that if there's a less than positive result at the Dragão, I don't know how much of that is going to wear on the team mentally for the rest of the championship.
Yes, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. That's why it's going to be crucial that they come out at least with a point, because right now these guys aren't even sure of themselves. I think they have the same question marks we have, which is, can we compete against this, star-studded Futebol Clube Porto, for the Portuguese league at least, star-studded Futebol Clube Porto? Can we go there and get a point? They've been well publicized, our struggles, like you mentioned at Estádio do Dragão, and you go back to that one game a couple of years ago where the Campeonato was on the line and Kelvin comes in with the 92nd minute goal. So, we have nothing but negative memories about Estádio do Dragão. So that alone should give players doubt. And now, whether we're better than them or not right now, I think that weighs on their minds. I think, like I said, I know I keep repeating myself, bro, but it's the only way I feel. I think it'll be very important that they come away with at least 1 point. We need a positive result. And if we win at Estádio do Dragão, forget about it. I think that'll really, get the players' confidence level to a way higher level and just hopefully springboard them to another campeonato.
Yeah, I think that it's a pure mental thing for me with the win there, as we mentioned. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I got. Chris, got anything else, man, that you wanted to mention?
It, man. Once again, it's a pleasure doing this, having an opportunity to come here on Benfica Podcast and share my thoughts on my meu clube de esquerda pequenino. Share the thoughts. It's always brilliant. And don't forget, guys, we still have Benfica Podcast T-shirt that I will sign, and obviously we'll get our good friend here, Alfredo Fumasis, to sign it as well. We send it to our 1,000 follower on Benfica Podcast. Keep the tweets coming. You guys are fantastic. You guys entertain me. I know a lot of times I don't answer for huge periods of time. It's because I'm sleeping, guys. Guys, hit me up in the morning. I'm sleeping. Hit me up in the afternoon. I'll be able to hit everyone back.
Chris, I also wanted to mention to everybody that listens to our podcast that you're also part of the Big Soccer Head podcast, which is a BSH podcast. You could follow them on Twitter at BSH Podcast. Also, these guys, just this past Monday, very quality pod with Ian Joy. He's a commentary guy, right? An analyst for Being Sports. Yeah. And both Eric and Chris had him on their show to talk European football. I suggest everybody go check that out. They're now up on iTunes.
We made it.
And as I've said, BSH Podcast at BSH Podcast. They're on Twitter, and you also bshpodcast.podbean.com. I think is where the pod host site is at. You can check those guys. At Steve Santos 6. Let's not forget
our boy Steve's traveling the world. The guy's a superstar. Left us all alone here in the cold Northeast, and the guy's enjoying himself travel around the world while we do the Benfica podcast. But you know what? Don't worry, Steve. This is in good hands, and we'll keep carrying on. Choo choo. We can't wait for you to come back, though.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. At Benfica Podcast is where you can find me. Don't forget to check out our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Also, the one offer that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, please check that out. Support the podcast. Sign up for the service, and you'll be supporting the podcast. Anyway, I think that's all I got. That's all I got. We'll see you again next week. Next week we'll break down the Academica game and look forward to the December games. Thank you very much.
Arrivederci. Don't eat too much turkey.
Gobble, gobble. See ya.